Today is Thursday, November 7th. This is Noreen Johnson, and here are the good news headlines of the day. Vice President Kamala Harris finally conceded the election on Wednesday, nearly 12 hours after the race was called, saying she spoke to President-elect Donald Trump to congratulate him on his blowout election victory. Trump currently stands at 301 electoral votes to Harris's 226, with Arizona's results still outstanding, and that state is also leaning toward Trump. Harris said this to a crowd of her supporters in Washington, D.C. "While I concede this election, I do not concede the fight that fuels this campaign. I am so proud of the race that we ran and the way we ran it." Take a look.
I will never give up the fight for a future where Americans can pursue their dreams, ambitions, and aspirations, where the women of America have the freedom to make decisions about their own body and not have their government telling them what to do. We will never give up the fight to protect our schools and our streets from gun violence.
In a political comeback for the ages, Republican Donald Trump on November the 5th became the first president since Grover Cleveland to win a second non-consecutive term in the White House, securing over 300 electoral votes, well over the 270 needed to win. With votes in a handful of states still being counted, the brash businessman overcame multiple indictments, 2 assassination attempts, and 2 general election opponents, President Joe Biden and his successor at the top of the Democratic ticket, Vice President Kamala Harris. Trump's stunning victory includes shifts in the electorate toward the Republican Party, including among Latino, Black, and Catholic voters, the latter of which favored Trump by a decisive margin. The Harris campaign, on the other hand, is facing criticism for focusing too heavily on abortion, celebrity endorsements, and the supposed threat to democracy caused by Trump. According to exit polling from the Associated Press, Harris won 80% of the black vote, which was down from Biden's total of 90% in 2020. Meanwhile, Trump carried 20% of the black vote, which is the highest total for a Republican nominee since the days of Richard Nixon. And then this, President-elect Donald Trump pulled off a stunning victory Tuesday night, flipping battleground after battleground red as tens of millions of Americans voted to send him back to the White House. Pennsylvania was his silver bullet. The Keystone State was considered a must-win for Vice President Kamala Harris. Before the night was over, it was clear she wouldn't get one. Trump made inroads in several key areas of Pennsylvania and swayed several crucial voter blocs, both of which locked in his win. Both Blacks and Latino groups have begun moving to Trump, driven largely by men. Democrats have been unable to stop the bleeding. Harris underperformed with both groups in Pennsylvania's major cities, Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. Meanwhile, voters in the suburbs of the blue cities said life was just too expensive under Biden and Harris, and many of them voted for a Trump economy. Democratic Representative Brendan Boyle said this: "This is a solid Republican victory and the largest Republican victory by a presidential candidate since Ronald Reagan in 1984 in Pennsylvania. I don't think any Democrat who wants to improve upon this situation should sugarcoat this." In other news, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has suggested the second Trump administration could eliminate entire departments within the Food and Drug Administration for corruption. Kennedy, who has been a key figure in the Trump campaign since endorsing him, was asked about his potential role in the next White House and whether he would begin clearing out the top-level federal service workers that are currently at the FDA and the CDC. He wrote this on X: "President Trump has asked me to do 3 things. 1, clean up the corruption in our government health agencies. 2, return those agencies to their rich tradition of gold standard evidence-based science. And 3, make America healthy again by ending the chronic disease epidemic." Kennedy previously ran as an independent candidate before ultimately suspending his campaign in August to endorse Trump. Since then, he has campaigned on behalf of Trump and has hinted about a potential role in the White House. And then today we celebrate the feast day of Saint Didacus. Born into a poor family in Spain, Didacus embraced a life of hermitage. He later joined the observant branch of the Order of Friars Minor and became a lay brother, developing great insight into God's ways. Didacus was known for his humility, obedience, charity, and devotion to the poor and sick. San Diego, California is named for this Franciscan who was canonized in 1588 by Pope Clement VIII. St. Didacus, pray for us. And those are your daily good news headlines. This is Catholics for Catholics. May God bless you, and may God bless the USA.